First of all, good evening all. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Town of Easton Planning and Zoning Board, August 30, 2021. In keeping with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 procedures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law by Governor Baker on June 16, 2021, this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards a quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live and recorded on ECAT. To use Zoom, you need to use the link on the agenda or download the application at zoom.us. While conducting meetings remotely, we will endeavor to keep meeting operations as close to our standard procedures as possible. However, use of this platform will necessitate some additional meeting protocols. While board members and applicants will be on video and audio, public participants will join the webinar as attendee, meaning they are muted with no video feed from them. During the public testimony portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using the raised hand function found under participants from Zoom, or make a request using the quick Q&A function of Zoom. If you are joining only by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. Business will be handled at times. Okay, board members are asked to announce themselves when making a motion and second, so that it'll be clear to the audience and minute takers who made the motion. All votes will be by a roll call. We will now do a verbal roll call to ensure we have a quorum. Greg Strange here.
Gary Shine here.
Robert Stetson here.
Chris Anderson
here.
Val Sarek here.
Great. Welcome all. Hope you had a nice weekend. We enter the final stretch of summer. So let's see. First up tonight, we have an A&R plan, 19 Tanglewood Drive. A&R number 21-243.
Greg?
Yep.
On the agenda, because, well, actually, I don't know if you're not going to need to recuse yourself. So whatever order you want to go in is fine. We had.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I figured since we
Yes.
have people, we can do the minutes in the chair at the end. Because as I understand it, 8 Lincoln is continued.
Correct. That was, yes.
Right. And what about Mill Street? Is that continued? Or we do it?
No, they're here.
Okay. Just when I thought we'd get out early. They come back after 19.
I was wrong, right?
All right. So anyways, let's Tanglewood. Is anybody here to represent?
Let's see. Is that Mohammed? Hold on, and I will. And let's see, we have Frank Gallagher.
All right, yeah. Yes, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. If you could just state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, my name is Mohammed Aitani. I'm with Cambridge Homes in Easton at 32 Norfolk Ave.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
The floor is
Yes,
yours.
Frank Gallagher. I'm the design engineer. Gallagher Engineering in Foxborough.
Thank you, Frank. Sorry, didn't mean to step on your words.
Greg, if I can ask Frank if he is going to share his screen or if he wants me to share my screen.
If you could, I don't think I really know how to do that, to be quite honest.
Okay.
It's not that I don't want to share. I like to share, but I just don't know how to do that.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
The plan,
Yes.
okay.
So, yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Form A plan, 1 lot fronting on Symphony Drive. That's the lot 1. And that's got the 150 feet of frontage on Symphony. It's a 40,000 square foot lot, no wetlands. And the second lot fronts on Tanglewood Drive, and it's 80,000 square feet, so it's double the zoning lot size, and the frontage is quite a bit more than the 150 that's required. both roadways are constructed, both roadways have been accepted by the town. It's pretty much a, straight ahead Form A, creating 2 lots.
Okay, end of your presentation?
Yes,
Okay, so the question, are both of these lots, are there in the I'm blanking out, it's been a long day since 2 a.m.
Existing subdivision
The
layout?
standard subdivision as opposed to an OSRD.
um,
Are these in the conventional subdivision location of the development?
this lot 2 is actually gonna fall within the OSRD portion of the subdivision.
Okay, so my question, I know this was before my time on the board, but Stephanie, do you know, did you investigate whether there was a limit of number of lots on the OSRD? I know that's come up as an issue previously.
Well, this lot, I don't think it would affect it because one lot's going to be on one and the other lot's on the other. I mean, this lot exists without this division right here.
Yeah, but so which
Yeah.
subdivision was this existing lot part of?
I didn't look into that.
May I, Mr. Chairman? This is Mohammed.
Absolutely, Mohammed, go ahead.
Yeah, Symphony Drive is part of Tanglewood 1, which is a regular subdivision. Tanglewood Drive was originally part of Tanglewood 1 as well, but we recombined all those lots along Tanglewood Drive and made them part of Tanglewood 2. So the way it exists today, Lot 2 is part of Tanglewood 2 in a way, because it's surrounded by houses that are part of Tanglewood 2.
Yeah, and Tanglewood, what type of development was Tanglewood 2? I'm sorry if you said that.
Tanglewood 2 was Symphony Drive and Harmony were part of Tanglewood 1. Everything else, except for a small portion of Tanglewood Drive, was Tanglewood 1.
So then why is anything a part of Tanglewood 2? You lost me.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir? Say that again, please.
Yeah, I thought you just said lot 2 is part of Tanglewood 2, but you said both these roads are part of Tanglewood 1, if I understood. So I'm just trying to make sure we're not violating any terms of any special permit originally.
That's correct. The intent of the meeting today is to create really lot 1, but lot 1 was part of the whole parcel. So eventually we're going to be in front of you to deal with lot 2 on how do we add it to the OSRD. So for now, really we're looking for lot 1, and we will be in front of you for lot 2 later on.
Okay, so part of this decision, we could say lot 2 is not a buildable lot right now and put that on the plan until we deal with this up the road.
Well, technically it is buildable.
Yeah.
It is buildable, but
Then why do you have to come back to us?
Because if I need to add it, if I need to keep it as eventually it will be, let's say we want to keep it as 1 acre lots or 40,000 square foot lots, it will be divided into 2 lots. Or if we go in front of you to add it to the OSRD, it will be 3 lots. So that's why we're not doing that yet. We're just doing the lot 1 at this point. I mean, I'm not sure if you can label it not a buildable lot, or it is a buildable lot, but it's an 80.
Right, well, it is I just don't know. We don't have the information in front of us, unfortunately. And there's no way for us at home to get it online. If the original OSRD has been tapped out for the number of lots it was allowed to have.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find it right now.
I don't think there was a limit on the number of lots. I mean,
no, there was never a limit placed on how many lots we could get in Tanglewood 2.
Yeah, and Greg, I did look through the decisions. I don't recall seeing a limit. I wasn't specifically looking for a limitation on the number of lots, but I don't recall seeing anything that did limit it.
Okay.
I mean, in the past, we added 1 more lot to Tanglewood 2. So there was never an issue. It never came up before.
Is Tanglewood 2 the subdivision that you added the lot on that fronted Foundry Street? You divided?
No, that one, we added them to Tanglewood 1.
Okay,
Because there are 40,000 square foot lots, and across the street from those lots were Tanglewood 1 lots. So we thought that when you drive up Tanglewood Drive, all the lots on the right and the left are Tanglewood 1. When you make a right on Harmony, all the lots are Tanglewood 1, and so is Symphony. But Tanglewood Drive itself was part of Tanglewood 1, but we reconfigured the lots to make them part of Tanglewood 2, but the road itself stayed as part of Tanglewood 1. Does that make sense?
Sure. I'm just, I'm trying to avoid an issue that comes up at closing for you. I'm not opposed to you getting 2 more lots. It's just in the past, prior to my time on the board, that for whatever reason, they put limits on some of the OSRDs. And in the past, it's come up as an issue when someone had a good attorney working the deed and trying to avoid a 12-month delay for you have to build a house and you're trying to sell it.
Sure. No, that's thanks. Yeah, no, it's actually, we have, our attorney is looking into how do we add those 3 lots or lot 2 to the OSRD, if it's doable. It might not be doable. And we might have to go in front of you to just get 2 regular Form As on Tanglewood Drive.
Rhymes with mitigation. Thought I'd get a bigger laugh there, board member.
So are there any wetlands on these?
I smiled, but anyway.
Developers never smile when I say mitigation.
Yeah. Are there any wetlands on either of the existing lot or the proposed lots?
No, neither lot, and it's labeled on the plan that
Okay.
in both cases, it says no wetlands.
Yep.
Any other board members have any questions or comments?
Yeah, what's that perimeter that looks like a buffer or something?
That's the zoning setback lines,
Okay.
the dashed line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the zoning setback,
okay.
front, side, and rear.
And I might want to add, I guess, just to clarify it, the board, on why are we in front of you now? How come those lots just popped up like that? How come they were not approved early on? We had a title issue with those lots, and we had to wait 20 years, which we did. Then we went to court, which we did, and we have a court ruling that the title is clear to our benefit. So that's why we never did anything with those lots. We were waiting to get the title cleared.
Luckily, the 20 years ended in a hot market too.
That's right.
Peter, you good?
I'm good.
Any other board members have any questions or comments? I'd say
so
the
are
same.
we just,
Oh, go ahead, Debbie. Sorry.
are we just, so are we just looking to make a motion based on lot 1? Like, is that what our?
Well, it's an A.
motion?
First of all, once we're not done yet because we have to go to public first. But you creating the 2 lots. It's splitting that one piece of land into lot 1 and lot 2.
Okay, so we're approving the division into 2 lots.
Yeah, it's just yeah,
Or
exactly.
not
Which it's just an A and R,
right.
so it's
Right.
they
Yeah.
meet all the requirements. My only question was there anything that limited it to? No need to beat a dead horse, but we'll relying
Okay.
on our staff support. They say there's nothing. So anybody else on the board? Okay, anybody in the audience want to raise their hand if you have any questions? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to endorse the plan.
I'll second it.
Second.
Sounds like Deb got that one. Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor? Strange eye.
Shane, aye.
Stetson, aye.
Anderson, I.
Calisteric, aye.
Is that everybody? I kind of lost my audio. Was it unanimous?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Good night. Thank you.
Have a good night. Excuse me. All right, next up, we have an architectural review for Lot 5, Goodspeed Estates. Do we
And-
have anybody representing the developer here?
Good. Well, we have Ethan Ekstrom, who is the designer of the plots. And I thought I had communicated via email with Mr. Prue, and I was told that Michael O'Shaughnessy, Suzanne was told that Michael O'Shaughnessy was going to be at the meeting. Now, there was someone named Mike in the attendee list earlier, but is not there now.
I saw that. You were right. Okay, well, so before
I
we
don't
discuss,
know what just happened to Mr. Ekstrom.
he's under panelist. I
Yes,
see.
okay.
So before we talk about the house design, I want to put this on the record. And Stephanie, I want to ask you to send out a letter
Yep,
to the developers, just the board members. I know you weren't all here at the time of approval, but you certainly, I think you've all been here when we've talked about this. When this was approved, I think 4 years ago, it's been so long. One of the conditions of the decision was prior to the start of work, landscaping plans for the entrance and the stone walls, et cetera, were to be submitted for approval by this board. You may recall that that didn't happen. It seemed to fall through the cracks, I guess. When it came to my attention, we had discussions with the representative, Mr. Prue. And if you remember, I believe, if memory serves, the night that we approved, I believe it was lots 1 and lots 2, architectural approval. He had asked, okay, if we could, we said we wouldn't hold up that approval that night, but we needed to get that plan so that we could, approve it or have it revised, whatever. That still hasn't come in, and I'm leery of the precedent that this sets. We set this up as a coordinated effort between ourselves and the developer, and we take serious. We're required to follow the law and the things that we agreed to, as is the developer. So I just, Stephanie, maybe you and I this week when we talk, we can send out a letter. And did you talk to Mr. Talaman about this by any chance?
I did not.
Okay, so I want to find out if we can put a halt on any further work going forward.
Yeah.
Until, I just think it's a bad precedent. This was supposed to happen before any work was done. So anyways, with that being said, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say Mike reappeared, had his hand raised, so I'm going to assume it was Michael O'Shaughnessy, and I did promote him to a panelist. But I don't see him coming on as
It's
one.
muted. Whoever Mike is muted.
How can you folks, I cannot, you
It's under
can
the panelist list.
faster than I can.
Oh, so Mike, if this is Mike O'Shaughnessy, if you could unmute
I
yourself
believe.
and let us know. Or if you're representing Goodspeed Estates, the developer.
Asked to unmute.
Okay, well, I'm assuming it's not. So. Oh, no, so, okay, it's unmuted. So is this Michael O'Shaughnessy by any chance?
If it is, if you could raise your hand, just so we know. Again. It is.
Okay,
We are not able to hear you.
we can't hear you, Mike, if you're trying to speak. I see there's a chat. Hang on, let's see. There's a
He's
chat.
going on the phone.
It says on phone. Don't know
So
what
now
that-
508, see the phone number is they have their hand
Is
raised.
that, you think that's?
Yep.
Oh, hold on.
9170. Yep, says that's me.
Yeah, I bet you it is. That looks like he's
Yeah,
from
just
that
said
area. So if you want to,
Here we go. Allowed to talk.
excuse me.
Where'd he go?
No, he's, Mike, you're muted. I'll try making you a pan.
Anybody know how to unmute from the phone?
There we, okay, looks like he is
Yeah, I
there.
think I heard him.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yes.
Identify yourself for the record, please.
Michael O'Shaughnessy. I apologize, Mr. Chairman, and the other board members. I'm having a little technical difficulty here.
No problem. We appreciate you joining in. Did you hear any of my lead-in?
I heard some commentary regarding a landscaping plan that had to be submitted, and so I think that was the tail end of whatever you were talking
Okay,
about.
so
I
I'll
didn't
circle
hear the
back
whole
quickly,
thing.
not to bore those that were here. So you're representing Goodspeed Estates, I take it, tonight?
That's right.
Okay,
yeah.
so when part of the original decision, one of the requirements was a landscaping plan for the common areas and the entranceway of the subdivision was to be submitted for approval by this board prior to start of work, i.e. putting in the road. That didn't happen, seemed to fall through the cracks. We had some decisions with your predecessor, Mr. Prue, and we wasn't really getting anywhere. And then back, 6 months, 12 months ago, when we approved the first couple of homes architecturally in the subdivision, we did so at the behest of Mr. Prue, saying he would get us the plan, but didn't have it that night. Did we have to hold things up? So we agreed not to. But we're further up the road now. I think there's been 4 approvals in that, and there's only 9 lots to begin with. And so we, there's a reason we put conditions in a special permit, and we don't appreciate them being ignored. So I've actually. Just let me finish. I've asked the town planner the director of planning to reach out to town council to see what our remedies are in terms of holding off on any further approvals until we get what was supposed to be done 4 years ago. So I'll let you respond.
I guess I've been out of this circle for a little while, but I'm looking at a landscaping plan prepared by Thomas C. Nurseries. I assume you guys haven't seen that?
There was nothing ever
I assume
formally
that was
submitted.
the landscaping plan.
Yeah, there was nothing ever
It's on-
formally submitted. At one point, there was some sort of insufficient drawings sent in, but it was pulled. It was pulled from submission by Mr. Prue.
So again, forgive me, I've been out of the loop here. So this plan has been updated, is on permitize, and it's that plan was pulled back and is no longer accepted or acted on by the board. Is that what I'm hearing?
Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong. We never received a formal submission for approval of a landscaping plan. There was a plan at some point way back, which Mr. Prue, of course, everything stays on permitize, so it's not the best record, but Mr.
No, understood.
Prue pulled it out and said he was going to get back. It was insufficient, and it didn't accurately, if I recall, it didn't accurately reflect what they were looking to do. So that's why it was pulled.
Gotcha.
Yes, I want to confirm what the chair is saying, that the board did look at this and felt that it was insufficient.
So that's the
And there was information that we
Tomasi plan.
missed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding what's going on here now, there's a plan before you to be approved, and the board's not going to act on it until we get the landscaping plan.
No. That's not what I said. No, that's not what I said. We're gonna. This plan's before us tonight. We will engage as a board and discuss it. And to the board, I'm not suggesting we do that tonight. I'm just saying going forward, I'm tired of this plan not being in. It's not fair to the board. It's not fair to the town. The developer needs to hold up their end of the bargain. We've done everything
I understand.
we would do.
I don't disagree with that.
And frankly,
Yeah,
I'm
I
getting
don't
impatient.
disagree.
For 2 years, I've been harping on this. And as the chair of the board, I'm tired of being disrespected and ignored on it on behalf of this board and the citizens of Easton and the town hall. Did we lose you?
No, I'm just
okay.
I feel like I'm
so it needs to be taken
speaking
care
of
of.
you.
We need to be taking it. But anyways, let's move on. Let's get on to, I believe it's lot 5. Stephanie, do you want to pull up the site plan on this?
Yep.
I want to talk about the site plan on this before we look at the house. if you want to share your screen,
Yep, you
please.
should be able to see it now.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming we want to zoom in a little bit here. This is the house lot in question. If you want me to zoom in more, just let
No,
me know.
I think that's good. So here, I'm gonna, since I know our whole board wasn't here at the time, and I know Mr. Shaughnessy nor Mr. Engstrom, sorry, were not involved at the time. During the rather lengthy process of the special permit that led to a special permit approval for this subdivision, or this flexible development, I should say, there was a lot of talk back and forth with the developer. This was a unique subdivision where you really had 3 different clusters of houses. You had the first 4 smaller lots stacked on each other. On the opposite end, you had 2 sort of conventional, larger subdivision lots on the cul-de-sac. And then you had these 3 that were, had a very small developable area, given the proximity of the 50-foot buffer and the geometry of the lots, setbacks, etc. And it was always talked of how it would be a good idea to have these 3 dwellings. So it was that there'd be an enclave, these 3 alone, and maybe design them together. So when I look at this, without even talking the aesthetic of the house, what concerns me from a planning standpoint is when you look at the lot north of this, which abuts it, which this has a it has the part of the driveway on it. This must be lot 6, I guess. I just don't see a number here. There's very, and for board members, keep in mind that the 50-foot buffer is the no touch. And Stephanie, correct me if I'm overstepping here, but I believe it's fairly accurate to call a 50-foot buffer a no touch. So
Correct.
if you look at that lot to the lot on the left, if you will, it doesn't have a footprint on it. Thinking about zoning setbacks and then the 50-foot buffer, and then look at the house that's before us for review tonight. Look, this house seems to be just repurpose of a similar design used in the subdivision, which is fine, but I don't think it leaves much. I don't think the goal of this board when working with the developer on this wasn't to stack houses behind each other. I'm not really sure. I would have liked to have seen, for approval of any of these lots, I would have liked to have seen at least rough footprints and development areas, driveways, etc., yards for the other 2 houses, so we could see that these 2 work together. Granted, I do this for a living, so maybe I can visualize it better than some, but I just, it seems to me that lot on the left there's very little area left to put a house, and it's basically going to be in the front yard of this house that we're looking at tonight. So that concerns me. So anyways, so I'm just curious what any board members, do you share that at all, or have any thoughts on that?
Well, I remember when the subdivision was, before it was even approved, and we walked it and we talked about this cul-de-sac and some of the things that you're echoing. And I mean, I will say that the orientation of the house that we're reviewing does look like it would certainly, without knowing what's going on the lot in front of it, it certainly could be not very thoughtful planning. So I agree, it would be nice to sort of have a sense of what the options are for the lot in front, so that maybe the lot adjacent to it could possibly be adjusted if necessary, so that it is a better situation for all of the houses in that off that cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Well, I mean, locking in the locations of the homes for the other 2 lots isn't really an option here, is it? I mean, are we discussing that as an option?
Well, I think I'd answer that this way. Someone could say, hey, we're just here for this, 1 lot 5. I'm buying this lot, or I'm building a spec house, or whatever the situation is. And You know, and that's fine, but part of the flexible development, part of the reason the developers get a bonus, and the bonus is the increased density and decreased road costs, you know, for less infrastructure, et cetera. And is they give us, you know, it's spelled right out in the bylaw, how the design process, how we work, sort of a collaboration with this board. And I'm looking at this has no relation, you know, you can even see those red dashed lines were proposed footprints of houses at the time. Of course, it's been removed from the one to the left because it probably proves my point. But you know, it's a very limited developable area here, and there had been talk, and of course, when everybody's looking for approval, I guess everybody agrees. But you know, there was talk of, you know, these three, at least from a schematic site plan, should be designed together so that the town of Easton, so we get the best project possible. I'd submit that a house, if you have three houses that don't relate to each other in terms of how they share the space and relate to the space, and if it's, you know, with this driveway going over, I remember the easement that's on here originally was going to be for a shared driveway for 3 lots. Now it's become driveway for according to this plan, a driveway for one house. And, you know, I can see this is the first house to be designed of these three. It seems to be taking up a lot of the, you know, usable design space for the two. How does the house on, like, lot 6, the house to the left, the northeast here, if you will, how does that, or northwest, I mean, how does that relate? You know, it's going to be in the front yard of that house. So that's my only concern. You can see the building pocket here. You would have thought the house would have almost been more slender to follow the depth of the 50-foot buffer. And maybe I'm the only one on the board that cares about this, and that's fine. But I wanted to bring it up because it does harken back to, you know, one of the reasons we push flexible development, so that we can really have some thoughtful design here. And I don't just mean, putting on nice shingles or putting on nice windows. It has to do with how the buildings relate to each other and like I said, creating an enclave. And we had numerous conversations over many, many months with the developer regarding this. I just don't see that in this plan, but I'll be quiet now. I've said my piece.
Greg, if I could speak.
Absolutely.
I would echo what you've said. I could not have said it as eloquently, but looking at this, this particular house as it's designed does seem to eat up the space and the space surrounding it on the other lots. And that was one of the things I was wondering about as well, is how are you going to locate the other 2 homes?
Yeah, and I think, go ahead, Peter, sorry.
Oh, you just mean like more like kind of like it would fit into that buffer kind of shape better if it were to go what was called to the bottom left of
so
this
yeah, Stephanie, move your cursor a little bit, go right into the middle between the 100-foot and the 50-foot buffer, if you will, like right where it says keep going up a little bit more. All right, now to the right, 1/2 inch. Okay, now down 1/2 inch. All right, stop right there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where a house is going to go when you take in your side setbacks. And now look at how that's right in the front yard of that house.
Right.
And again, these houses were always going to be close. I see a plan before me that only thinks of one house, doesn't think of 3. And I think, you know, you don't need the exact designs of the other 3, but I think I don't see how the lot 6 could be successfully developed without just, you know, you always hear me. I'm always going on about houses behind each other, or, you know, that one of our duties is to, you know, keep, you know, enhance Easton's rural character. And doesn't mean houses can't be close, but part of that rural character is, you know, you have a backyard, you have a little bit of privacy, to, you know, and I just don't know how that functions. And another part of this, and I'll be quiet after this, I promise. You know, look at this proposed design, and it shows the side setback, and forgive me, my old man eyes.
Is it 10.9?
11.1 and 10.9. Now,
Yes.
I believe I didn't have time to review the bylaw today. I know we have the option, perhaps, in flexible development. I think we do. I've been writing too many bylaws.
I don't know if we have it, but yeah.
I think we have the option to reduce the required side setback of 15 feet if we want to, but it's not a given. So,
Anyway, and like you were, to what you were talking about, that's the worst possible spot to do that because the other house is gonna be right there no matter what. So, yeah.
yeah. So,
Mr. Chair, I think we are missing the footprint for the other houses, at least from the point of view of the perception of whoever is designing this neighborhood. It was my first thought, how you fit these other two houses and where are they? Expecting to see them.
mhm.
So I think it's missing. I think we should request it.
I mean, yeah.
This design, Greg,
Yep,
was
go ahead.
the driveway that's drawn here supposed to be a common driveway, or are they having individual other driveways off of Goodspeed for the other two lots, the one to the left and the one to the right?
Well, honestly, I can remember. I was surprised when I saw this easement. In fact, when I saw this plan with the house on it, I'm like, "There's an easement there." And actually, I went back to the approved plan, and there was an easement. And I went back through all my notes because we worked on this with the developer for over 2 years, I think. And the thought was, we had talked then maybe we would even change these lot lines a little bit. We really needed to come up with a good architectural plan, a good schematic site plan that would allow these three closely knit lots, because they need to be an enclave. The last thing you want to do is pop in three completely different houses here because they're going to be so close. I'm not saying you want the exact house, but there's certainly, they're so close. You're going to need a little. They're going to need to work in concert, not just aesthetically from an architectural standpoint, but from a site standpoint. And this one just seems to really take away any options from the lot to the left. And again, my thought is just looking at the bylaw, the purpose of flexible development, and the entire way the process is spelled out in detail in there. I don't think this follows that very well. And it's not parallel to the conversations that we had, prior to approval with the developer.
Greg, it looks like Mike has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Mr. Shaughnessy.
Sorry, guys. I don't know if I'm on or off, but Ethan Ekstrom is on. He's the one who did the design. It might make sense to hear from him and hear what his thoughts are for the design of this house and what he's thinking for the other two houses that abut this property, and just to see what he's thinking. And if an adjustment has to be made, an adjustment has to be made. I get it, but I think it makes sense to hear from him since he's the one who's going to be designing these to see what his thought process is in putting this one here and situating it where he did.
Thanks, Mike. I will comment if I can. Mr. Strange, I hear your comments. I'd like to also spend some time, not so much on the site plan, but on the exterior of the house as well. I think it'll become apparent that actually a lot of thought was put into the design, even potentially more than could be reasonably expected for this development. A lot of cues were taken and borrowed from older houses in the town, like some of Eastondale and the Northeastern Village, in trying to make this enclave of Goodspeed Lane what it is. There's also designs for lot 3 and 4 that are in keeping with this, and in keeping with lots 1 and 2, and lot 8, which I designed. So, those can be provided, but I would like to spend some time on the actual house and also note that as I look at it, the proposed footprint, it's actually proposed, although it's bigger, it's slid back from what the original box was in an effort to kind of give a little bit more space to the neighbors. So albeit cozy, it does provide, space and privacy. So, that would be my only request. Let's actually look at the design instead of only, harping on the site plan, and see what it looks like from there.
Well, that's fine. We'll let you wax poetic on your design in a minute, but I think it's really important. That's great that you reach out for, historical details or whatever your design you know, whatever your theory of design was, that's fine. It's certainly subjective, and get 10 designers and you can get 10 different, you know, great ideas. But I think going, regardless of what the exterior aesthetic is, I think, especially since this is the planning board, you know, I think, and so much, you know, this board here, you've sat in on enough of our meetings. I think you've heard me talk. We're not here to tell you you need window X, Y, Z. And you've heard me cut off board members when they say, geez, when they start to play designer, because that's not our job. We're not here to design, but we're here to ensure, or try to ensure, that the buildings proposed, you know, meet the intent of the bylaw. And that I would submit that the intent of the bylaw actually is rooted more in how the buildings relate to each other on site than certainly building scale, and all that is important. But we've taken care of that with our height bylaw based on human scale, existing grades and setbacks. So it would be hard for me personally, I can't speak for the other board members, but for the uniqueness of these 3 lots, and this is an important development and an important type of development for Easton. And I think it's important, and you weren't involved in this, so forgive me at the time, but during the approval of this, you know, there were certain, you know, agreements, handshake agreements, or just, there was a, what's the word, you know, there was a level of comfort attained by this board with the developer that they were going to work towards the things that we discussed. And one of those was that this would always be, you know, these 3 houses should really be designed together. So you can certainly tell us about your house design, but it's still not going to, as best I can see what you're presenting tonight, doesn't show us how it relates to anything on the 2 neighboring lots.
I can appreciate that. And, you know, with all due respect, I assume this to be an architectural review meeting as it was labeled. So that's why I, you know, figured we would be reviewing the architecture of this plan.
Well, architecture certainly involves how a house is, or building is placed on a lot. And it's not just the exterior elevations.
Yeah, agreed.
That's why site plans are required.
Agreed. And I think, you know, if we want to see the 3 lots as a package, I would have had no problem drawing that up and submitting it. But it's not something that came up. Maybe it did before I was involved. But, you know, my understanding was tonight was lot 5. So I would just like to see, you know, actual, you know, lot 5 as a design. And I'm hoping we're not just going to focus on the site plan and vote on it without seeing the rest of it is all.
Okay, all set? Board members, do you guys have any questions, comments?
Well, I guess I would just like to, I think, reinforce or say in a different way what you're saying, Greg, which is basically design review. The footprint of the house and the siting of the house is part of design review. It's not just the aesthetic. And so there are a number of ways that the same square footage may or may not be appropriate on this particular lot. And so given that we know there's going to be 2 other homes that it may or may not be the opinion of the board that the current design doesn't optimally reflect the best position on the lot. And I would say that that is part of design review. So I think, you know, the architectural aesthetics of it is something that can be reviewed if necessary once, assuming everyone is comfortable with the placement of the house on the lot.
To reinforce what you are saying, Deborah, the footprint, the shape of the footprint might need to change in order to accommodate the other houses.
Yes, so let's do this. So first of all, so board, just look real quick and you can see, guys, it's proposed dwelling and then it says proposed garage. So you can see the garage, for example, it looks like it's about 10 point something feet off of the property line, 10 point something. I can't read that because the total.
I think it's 10.9.
That's what I
Yeah,
saw.
and then we know, all right, and then we know the area we talked about where that's going to be. So now, Stephanie, can you jump quickly to the building plan that was submitted
Yes.
for this? And sorry, I don't mean to make you jump around, but
Yeah, no, that's okay.
you offered to share the screen.
Well,
No, excuse me. So. I only see part of it.
that,
guys-
oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Or maybe, no, I might have jumped out. Hold on,
Can you see
Oh, I
it?
see the whole page.
Okay, yeah, you know what, I jumped out of full. So, so for example, so look at that garage, right? That's a two-story garage, and that's the part that's 10 feet as proposed. Again, that's not allowed without a waiver from us, but that is, that's 10 feet off the property line. That's not allowed on 40,000 square foot lots. Not saying it can't be allowed here, but we need, those are just things to think about. So mixed action quickly. We don't want to do a long. We don't need a long dissertation, but you did request. So if you want to quickly walk us through this house, that's fine.
Well, I guess my only comment was I just wanted to get your comments on the exterior as well, so that if we, had any feedback and if you did request that we change the footprint, then we can do it all in one sitting and come back once instead of having to revise.
Well, I think it's a little more complex than that, unfortunately. I mean, look, this is a fine looking house, in my opinion. Design's, like I said, subjective. There may be someone on this board that can't stand this design. I don't know. I think it's fine. It's in scale, it has nice details, etc. But when you go back to that site plan, and to me, the site plan is so important on this. If you looked at that buildable envelope, which to the board members, I'd say it's everything forward of that orange line, that 50-foot buffer. You can't, and keep in mind, people need sort of, backyards or at least emergency egress. You need a second egress out of your house. Quite often it's in the back. And that house on the left is, they're going to want to go to their backyard a little bit. Although it'll be a natural backyard, given that it's in the no-touch zone, I imagine. But it just seems that this, like I said before, I don't want to be the dead horse, but this almost looks like everything was designed just for this one house, and it looks like more attention needs to be given to this lot on the left. And I understand you may have been hired just for this one lot at this time, and that you're thinking of. That's fine, and you're not part of the development team, and you weren't here during the approvals, but that was. We had assurances that these three lots would always be designed together.
Sure.
And I would also point out, just technically on the plan, the way you present it, your architectural plan, we don't have the mean, the average building height on it. There's a height up top, but that's way above the house. And because I'm not sure that it might, but again, I can't really interpolate off a PDF. I'm not sure that the building, if you were to apply for the 10-foot setback instead of the 15, that average roof height has to drop 5 feet. And I'm not sure. So that means you'd need to be at about 20 feet. I'm not so sure you'd have that. So we just need more accurate heights called out on any plans that are submitted.
Greg, I think if we're going to really consider what we're talking about, then that 10 feet is not going to cut it. Given that they can move back.
Right. I mean, Peter, I think there's right. Certainly, I would have an issue with it as it's currently presented. See, I look at that site plan and I see it. Stephanie, could you go back to the site plan again?
Yep,
I don't
sorry.
need to make you keep going back and forth.
No, that's,
Don't you just love COVID? But I look here, if you look in the back of this house, it points to there's a proposed cul-de-sac unit for roof runoff. Well, those can go lots of places, as long as it's within the 50-foot buffer. I see there's a depth there that could potentially be built. I see where a lot could be, maybe a house could be skinnier than wide. That might fit a little better and take some of the pressure off of the neighboring lot. So I wouldn't rule out that if we had a design that worked well with the neighboring lots, we could waive a building setback. But I don't. I agree with you, Peter. I don't see that on this one. I don't see it working.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
I don't want to waste the board's time tonight. Clearly, there's some significant pushback to where this house is located, and I don't necessarily disagree with what you and the other members are saying. let us pull this back tonight, and I'll circle back with Ethan and the rest of the guys, and I will get them to see if we can get at least get a footprint or a concept plan laid out for the other houses, and see if we can get this so it all ties together. And I will follow up with them as well on your landscaping plan, and hopefully get back to Stephanie in a day or two, if that's okay, Stephanie.
I mean, if that's okay with the board.
Yeah, let me just out of fairness, let me make sure I'll run it through the board. Are there any other questions or comments from the board members? I didn't mean to hog so much of the time.
What do you guys think about the other, the 11-foot setback? Is that side more? I guess it all depends on where the other homes go on the concept, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more inclined to, right. I mean, that one isn't as much of an issue but again, that dotted line means nothing to me, the red one.
No, I know. It all depends on where the other house goes, right?
No, I can see boxes all day long. I need some real dimensions based on plans.
Yeah, but yeah, I was just trying to help them out.
But I understand, sure.
Yeah, that 11 side doesn't seem as bad as the 10-foot 9 side.
All right, so any other board members, anything? No, all right, well, why don't we continue this? Michael, you want to continue this to our next meeting?
Yeah, why don't you continue to the next meeting? And like I said, I'll circle back to these guys.
All right. Next meeting is September 13th. Can someone make a motion, please?
Motion to continue Goodspeed Estates Review Lot 5, Architectural Review Lot 5 till September 13th.
Stetson, second.
All those in favor, Strange eye.
And I.
Stetson, aye.
Anderson, aye.
Sarah, aye.
Kevin, aye.
All right, that's everybody. Great, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, gentlemen.
Have a good night.
All
Bye
right.
now.
All right, next up, continued public hearing for 58 Mill Street definitive subdivision plan and special permit. I can't even believe we're actually going to talk about this one after all this time. So first of all, who is?
It looks like.
I'm honest, were you even on the board when this started? Like who can participate in this one?
So we talked about that this morning, and Suzanne, jump in, because I was looking at it again. We know that both Deb and Bob, right, Suzanne?
Yes, correct.
It's 2 meetings each. And
Honey,
now
we have a
I'm not-
surprise long meeting here, so if you want to eat, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so both Deb and Bob have missed 2 meetings and are not qualified to vote. Amos missed 1 meeting. He wasn't a member of the board for the first meeting. And if he does, and I think he's already agreed to do this, to review the minutes and or
He did.
the ECAT. Okay, so he's already submitted an inform.
He did.
What that means is that because you need a super majority on this, you need you, Peter, Chris, and Amos
Correct.
for the rest of the
So is Frank Ryblin, is that who's representing?
yes, I thought I promoted him to
He's
Peter.
under a 10D right now.
I mean, one of the things that the applicant could do is withdraw and then resubmit.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. So,
Yeah.
Frank, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, I am here.
Hey, Frank, first of all, could you just identify yourself for the record?
Yes, I am Frank Ryblin with Ryblin Lenseviers. I'm here representing Greg Mills of KGM Custom Homes for the 58 Mill Street project for both the subdivision and special permit.
Okay, so I want to confess, as the chair of this board, we have 2 years, I don't even know how long this thing's been continued for, probably 2 years, and it was just kind of a running joke every time we would do it. And I had no idea until this afternoon that this possibly was coming up. But given what Stephanie just explained, given how long this has taken, there are only 4 members of this board that can take a vote. And this being a special permit, it would have to be
For a
unanimous.
state lot.
Right, and I'm just wondering if I might, not to be redundant here, but yeah, maybe withdraw without prejudice and refile so you can have a full board. Because keep in mind, I don't know how long this process is going to take, but what if a board member misses a meeting, then that means no board member can miss a meeting, basically, right? So.
Understood. That is something that I will be discussing with Mr. Mills to see what his pleasure is on that subject. My intent this evening was basically to simply reintroduce the project to the board and not to get really into the details. It has been quite some time since we last appeared before the board to discuss this subdivision. And I'd just like to take a few moments to explain some of the reasons for the delays and outline some of the major revisions that have been done to the plan since last presented.
So,
Okay. Knowing that, oh, go ahead.
Stephanie,
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just want to note that if, that's fine that Mr. Rivlin wants to do that, and I certainly understand why. However, if the decision is made that they are going to withdraw and resubmit, he will need to go through that all over again at the first meeting of the hearing.
Stephanie, I submitted the Mullen.
Right, but the challenge for us is now that you, Greg, and Peter and Greg, Peter, and Chris all have to be at every meeting during
And the decision would have to be unanimous.
Right. That's so yes. So yes, and we appreciate that you did submit that. So I mean, if Mr. Rivlin wants to, that's up to him and you, if he wants to proceed tonight, but I did just want to remind him that if that decision is made to withdraw and resubmit, he will have to go through that all over again.
Well, you said a brief summary, right, Frank?
That is correct. Yeah, only take a few minutes to kind of reintroduce the project.
Okay, I don't see any reason, as long as you keep it brief, why not to do that? So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Okay, I realize the board will likely be sending the revised plan out for peer review, and I'm certain there'll be questions generated by either the peer reviewer or the board. It's not my intent to dive deeply into any of these comments tonight. However, any questions or comments will be addressed by either Mr. Greg Mills, the developer, the project engineer, Dr. Deshang Wang, the project attorney, Michael O'Shaughnessy, or myself, the surveyor. This locus, if you'll recall, contains 12.9 acres of land. It's on the southeasterly side.
Excuse me, just for a second, Frank. Are you referring to a plan that I can't see?
I'm getting ready to pull it up to share my.
Just when you said this locus, I'm going, I don't see a locus.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to probably make more
Looks
sense.
like everybody tonight does, usually the applicant likes to do this on their own. But here we are.
All right, Frank, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can you see the screen?
I can.
Yes.
Did we lose Frank?
He muted himself.
Frank's muted himself. Frank, you need to unmute yourself if you hear us.
It sounded like his microphone was kind of going in and out a little too.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right. We're situated on the southeasterly side of Mill Street, just south of Peabody Drive. Currently, there is one existing single-family home on the property, and it is accessed by a gravel drive. Wetland delineations on this locus were approved by the Easton Conservation Commission back in February of 2017. And that approval was exclusive of the floodplain, which was based upon FEMA approval. Going back through the timeline, the preliminary subdivision plan was originally submitted to this board on June 9th of 2017, and the definitive subdivision plan was submitted on June 7th of 2019. So Mr. Strange's comment regarding being 2 years is just about exactly right, slightly over 2 years since the initial public hearing, which was on July 23rd. We had numerous issues with the floodplain. The flood insurance rate map incorrectly showed a floodplain at this location running along the higher ground while omitting the low-lying stream. Dr. Deshang Wang conducted an extensive floodplain study of the area and submitted to FEMA a request for a letter of map revision. This review took many months and a request for additional information, including a request that the study be extended to cover a greater area upstream. FEMA finally did approve Dr. Wang's findings and issued the requested letter of map revision on March 15th of this year. The floodplain shown on the current subdivision plans reflects that letter of map revision. In addition to the lengthy delays experienced with the floodplain issues, this site is also situated within an area mapped by Natural Heritage as priority and estimated habitat for the eastern box turtle and marbled salamander. We have undergone many plan revisions and been in regular contact with the Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, and based upon the currently revised plan, the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife has issued a letter just last week on August 27th stating that, quote, the division has determined that the project as currently proposed will not adversely affect the actual resource area habitat of state protected rare wildlife species. The letter further requests specific conditions to be placed on the project and included in the order of conditions to be issued by the Conservation Commission. Briefly, some of the changes which we've incorporated in the current plan to lessen the environmental impact that are revisions from the originally submitted plans include removing a section of the existing twin 18-inch RCP pipes entering the property to provide an enhanced wildlife corridor. That will be up in the northwesterly portion of the property. We are reducing the roadway layout width from 50 feet to 35 feet. We have reduced the pavement width from 28 feet to 20 feet. We have shortened the total roadway length from 714 feet to 612 feet. And we've undergone a general reduction of the total area of clearing and disturbance. The currently proposed project contains 6 residential lots on almost 13 acres of land, accessed by a cul-de-sac 612 feet in length. 5 of the lots are conventional lots, each containing in excess of 40,000 square feet of contiguous upland and 150 feet of street frontage, and 1 estate lot containing a little over 80,000 square feet of upland area with 40 feet of frontage. That's a basic summary of the project. And again, I don't want to get into the details tonight. There'll be more than enough time to address that between myself, Dr. Wang, Greg Mills, and Michael O'Shaughnessy.
Okay. So that's everything?
That's pretty much it. Again, I did want to keep it brief tonight, just to kind of bring the project back to the forefront with the board.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, so I think it makes sense, you know, like I said, to withdraw and then refile. But I don't know, do you want us to do that tonight, or do you want us to handle that at the next meeting?
I will not make that decision this evening.
Right. Right. Okay.
That, Mr. Mills will have to make.
Sure, I understand. So maybe you could, you know, no one really needs to show up for that, but if they choose to take that path, they could just let Stephanie know and we could do it at our next meeting.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you. Oh, any board members, any questions or comments? I'm sorry. Didn't mean to. No. Okay. So great, Frank, we look forward to seeing you in the near future for this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Have a good night. All right. Okay. We'll call in Eric Diaz now. Thank him for his patience. Eric, I owe you an apology. Had I known that project was coming, I would have put you first. I didn't know that was coming in, so forgive me. So we have a continued public hearing for 81 and 91 Summer Street, special permit common driveway, special permit estate lots.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your consideration, but not a problem. Got to eat a little dinner while I wait.
Yeah, go ahead, rub it in. I was supposed to be grilling steaks by now.
All right, so I'll give a quick recap of where we were the last time we were here. And if I can share my screen.
Please
The
do.
last time that we were here, we were fresh off the heels of a site walk. And we had not yet had our site walk with the fire department, but this is basically what we were looking at. And the planning board, excuse me, had two primary comments about the project based on this. The first one was that, gee, maybe it makes sense to grant some sort of relief to allow 4 units to be accessed off this common driveway and just leave this little connection here through the paved area that we're planning on getting rid of to meet the bylaw. Might make some more practical sense than just paving this whole driveway a couple hundred feet coming in off of Summer. And I think it was determined that the board, unfortunately, cannot do that as a waiver. And that's something that if the board was to approve this plan and the special permit, they might encourage us to go to the ZBA to seek a variance on. The other major comment that the planning board had when we were here is that we are showing 3 connections to the existing driveway, and it's just a lot of pavement. So there must be something that we can do to kind of neck that down a little bit and combine these things so it's not quite so impervious through there. So since the last time we were here, we've done 2 major things. We've revised our plans to reflect those comments, and we've met with the fire department. So taking a look at the plan, this is what we have revised to. We are still obviously showing the connection to the driveway connection to lot 4 as a new connection, but I've spoken with the applicant on this and we have no issue seeking a variance should the board grant the special permit to try to get these all on one. And the other thing that we've done is we have combined these 3 driveways. Instead of having 3 individual barrels connecting to the existing driveway, we're coming up with one in the middle, and we're kind of forking off of that, kind of like a tree. And we've left the neck of this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. The radii coming in here is a little bit bigger than what the town it requires for a throat. It comes to 77.1 feet. And the reason for that is this is going to create a hammerhead turnaround for us with the for fire safety. The other thing that we did for fire is we've proposed to install a hydrant at the intersection of the new driveway here. And they were very happy about that. In fact, we did get a pretty favorable email from Captain Zialo to Stephanie. I think it was late last week. Couple of minor comments, but in general saying that the fire department is in favor of the project. So I know you guys have had a long meeting. I won't drone on. Those are the major improvements. We've kind of turned this into a lot less pavement, added a hydrant, got fire department support, and prepared to seek a variance should the board let us go in that direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation. Board members, questions and comments, or comments, I should say.
I think it looks good. I think it incorporated all the stuff we talked about at our last meeting. Yeah, well done.
It's the right direction to go.
Thank you.
It was the resurrection, what'd you say?
Right direction.
Oh. So you cut out of guns.
It is a bit of a resurrection, isn't it?
Oh,
A little bit.
I hear Godspeed in the background.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thank you for taking the time to work with us and meet with us and make those changes. And it doesn't look like Mary Lynch, the lady from Summer Street, is at the meeting today.
No,
So.
I didn't see that.
I will say, and I don't know how everything is gone, but when we had our meeting with the fire department, Mary did come to that meeting with us and walked the site with the applicant, spent some time and talked about some screening that they may want amongst each other and things like that. So if Mary's not on the call, I don't want to speak for her, but I'm very hopeful that she's comfortable.
Yeah, she's definitely not on the call, but so any other board members?
I mean, just.
Can I don't know,
Deb,
go ahead.
ahead.
Or
Yeah.
I was just gonna, so just to clarify, the access that has just been like roughed in for the property on the left. So you're saying that that your client's not adverse to seeking a variance so that that roadway necessarily will not be constructed?
That's
Do I
correct.
understand that right? Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, I think what we talked about is the board, should they choose to approve, might encourage us to seek that variance. And I did discuss it with the applicant. And as you said, he's not adverse to seeking that variance. I think practically as well as financially, it probably makes sense to eliminate that.
Yeah, I think I agree with the other board members. I think that this plan definitely suits the lots better and addresses our concerns. So,
Great. Anyone else?
Well, what do we do now? Would we, if we were to close and then vote, would we vote with that driveway on the plan?
Yeah, so if we vote on something, because as we said at the last meeting, we looked into eliminating that as a waiver, but town council informed us that we could not do that, which made me think, geez, we shouldn't have asked town council. No, but it also shows, I think it's a good opportunity. I think at special town meeting, I may propose a bylaw to just tweak the wording a little bit on this, but we can discuss that going forward, because removing that driveway really meets so many of the objectives of several boards in this town. But I think, and we can't, there's no guarantees, but I feel confident that if we do approve this, and I know the applicant has stated their interest in immediately filing for a variance, I'm pretty confident that this board would support the variance, and I think we could write a rather strong letter, to the ZBA on that. In fact, maybe I would, even as chair, maybe I would attend that meeting just to explain why we'd really like to see that portion of the driveway go away.
Do we, or can we, make the obtaining of a variance condition of the special permit?
No, we can't. I tried, not allowed.
Okay.
Okay. And but I would, and just going forward.
I mean, I'm willing to accept the representations we heard here tonight too.
Yeah, I mean,
it was more of a question.
Right. No, I hear you. No, we would have. I'm all for streamlining. We would have loved to have done that, but can't. I think going forward assuming we do approve this in its current form, one of the conditions I'd want is that the driveway is going to the 3 new houses. If there's any change to those, it has to come back to this board for approval. Because, let's say someone comes in, wants to buy one of these houses and wants to do a giant, turnaround, an H-shaped driveway. That kind of defeats the purpose of preserving some of the existing features and reducing the pavement. So we're voting on the plan as represented. And more we're noticing on these special permits, people tend to not always follow the plan. Not saying that the present company would do that, but just it's good to learn as we go, I guess. So
we have it's a common driveway and a state lot, and also just a regular subdivision plan. That would.
No, it was a state lot and a common driveway, right?
Right. Okay.
Let's see here. Let me just go to the agenda.
Yeah,
It was just two. It was 2 special permits.
Oh yeah, because the site plan.
Yeah, common driveway and a state lot. So Eric, would you like us to close both public hearings?
If the board is comfortable, yes, I would.
No, you can't put it on us.
Okay, then yes.
But I don't see any more information that we're going to be requesting.
I have one question for anyone that's interested. How is this house siting? How does this look? We got plenty of space here. Those look kind of small. I don't know what where we're going to end up down the line, or is this going to work based on some of you better designers than I am?
Well, keep in mind that there is the 15-foot buffers that have on the sides and the rears. We can't. Special permit, we're not allowed to limit the size of these houses.
Yeah, I know that.
And we could make a condition. I mean, if you wanted to, when we do the approval, I'm sorry, when we do the decision, we could make a condition upon if these footprints change, and the locations change, which they probably will, look like it's pretty generic boxes. It just has to be submitted to the board for approval.
Yeah, I'm just looking down the line to the realization phase here where things start happening. So okay. So was there a motion there?
No, not yet. So do we want to close the public hearing? That's the first. He said yes, but no one's made a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing for the estate lot and common driveway.
That's in second.
Any further discussion? Hearing and just check. Seeing none. All those in favor? Closing the public hearing. Strange eye.
Shanghai.
Stetson, aye.
Anderson, aye.
Sarah guy.
Furthermore,
All right, that's unanimous. Now we can entertain any motions.
And we have to do these as two separate motions, right, Greg?
Yes. They're two separate special permits.
And so motion to approve the special permit for common driveway, Stetson?
I'll second it. Sarah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none and seeing none. All those in favor, strange eye.
Stetson, aye.
Anderson, aye.
Sarah guy.
furthermore,
That's unanimous. Next one.
On the next one, do we want to mention the condition that you talked about? Or actually, it probably should have gone into the common driveway motion, I imagine, or can we do that?
Yeah, well, we
after
can put in the
fact?
decision.
Okay, all
We
right.
can put in
fine.
the decision, so.
Motion to approve the special permit for estate lot, Stetson.
Anderson, second.
Further discussion, Annie?
So Greg, you're just saying we don't need to amend or add it into our actual motion. It'll just be part of the decision.
Right, just because Bob is saying maybe it should have gone in the first one. So I think it's pretty standard. We can just add it into the decision. The applicant isn't opposed to it, correct?
No, we're okay with that.
So we can just put it in the decision, both of them. That way, make sure it's in the right place.
Greg,
Go ahead, Stephanie.
could I just ask what the condition is? Because I think I missed it.
It's going to be condition that if the two conditions, one, if the driveways change, they have to come before us, and if the building footprints change, it has to come before us.
Okay.
And the board will be able to review those decisions before they're.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said before us. I meant it comes before the board. Yeah, board has to approve any changes. Yeah, going forward, just not to. I think going forward, we need to make that sort of standard, just based on.
We don't have a process, but we have to sign it, right? So then we should be able to review it, right? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
There was already a second, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a second. Yeah, you open discussion. Are you all set? Any further discussion with anyone? All right, hearing none and seeing none. All those in favor, strange eye.
Shanghai.
That's an aye.
Anderson, aye.
Sarah guy.
furthermore,
Great, unanimous.
Excellent.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you all for your time. I appreciate you working with us on this. It was a very positive experience. Thank you.
Well, it was good. It was a good working partnership on all parts. So great. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right. So next up, 88 Lincoln Street, the special permit for mixed use at the Y. That is continued, as you can see. Oh, we need to make a motion to continue to September 13th.
Motion to continue 8 Lincoln Street to September 13th.
Second.
All those in favor, strange eye.
Shanghai.
That's an aye.
Anderson, aye.
Sarah guy.
furthermore,
Great. Meeting minutes. Anybody review the meeting minutes?
I did, and they looked okay to me.
Wow, that's like twice in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Suzanne, that is, you have the Peter DeShane stamp of approval twice in a row.
Good.
Three, you know what, if you go three in a row, I think you get a wood pen valued at under $50, made from historic wood at Easton. So,
Motion to approve the minutes for August 16th.
Stetson second.
any further discussion? I would just say, Peter, you need to find something next week. I'm running low on historic wood. All those in favor, Strange eye.
That's an aye.
Anderson, I.
Balsaric, aye.
Am I?
Great. We've reached the summer silly portion of the planning board schedule, I guess. Board changing. So the only thing I have to report, I don't think you guys were CC'd on this, but forgive me if you were, but we received word either yesterday or today that the zoning amendments from town meeting all passed muster with the Attorney General. So they are now law. And I know Stephanie, I just want to say quickly, I know Stephanie had sent out or CC'd you guys on some looking the CP, the Citizens Planning Training Collaborative, the CPTC, which some of you that have attended either online or pre-COVID, their spring seminar at Holy Cross every year, they were looking for some feedback. And I know I've been talking with the chair, with Dottie Fujinetti, chair of the select board. So I'm getting used to saying that, chair of the select board. And we're looking at maybe making a couple of the courses that they have there mandatory for planning board members. It's happening more and more with towns, and I think it would help us a lot with the process, just the rules and regs of the planning board, what our roles and responsibilities are. It's pretty good. They offer it both in person, or at least pre-COVID, and as a webinar. But so that's why I think they're probably looking for feedback for any other course that we'd like to see. So going forward, that may start to become required reading, as they say. So anyways, with that, Stephanie, do you have anything?
I don't, not tonight.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And happy Labor Day, happy end of summer. And we'll see you back here on September 13th. Who wants to bring us home?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, Strange eye.
Balsaric,
Stetson,
aye.
Anderson, I.
Am I?
Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, good night.